Oh, on this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, we discussed that time travel is still stupid.
Satan rolls in with his posse and angels yeeted.
Also, this is what happens when you Google sex cults. Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz.
And this week we're going to talk about Season 5, Episode 4, The End.
The end.
But it's not the end.
It's not?
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know.
If the end came, would we even notice at this point?
I mean, we had floods yesterday, so I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
so,
did we think weird rain from the sky? Did you see any toads?
No, I did
okay.
not.
Still no toads coming from the sky. Like, I think that's a positive sign.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, we just, from droughts to floods. That's what we do. Texas.
That's how Texas rolls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how are you this week?
So this week, I don't feel like I have done anything exciting social-wise, because I had a life change that just took up most of the past couple of weeks. And otherwise I have just been going to the Pilates studio and I think it's part of it is probably I came back from a 2-week trip, with people and I need to not see the people, be around the people. And so lots of, I guess, the self-care or whatnot. Yeah. And catching up on shit for this. So we hopefully you guys, just a reminder to go find our YouTube channel and subscribe to it, because until we get a certain number of subscribers, I can't tell you a quick name. It's just going to be like my regular passwords. Please. So just search for us, search for Devil's Trap Podcast. You will find us. Go watch it. We've got lots of videos are coming up and they're going to be coming out as quick as I can do them without going batshit
or quitting your day job. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I do have another full-time job.
just saying.
Plus there's my
stuff.
hobbies. Lyra starts up again next week, and So what about you? What do you? So your pool almost overflowed. I saw that.
Well, yeah, in the torrential downpour that we had in Dallas this week. It's the first time that's ever happened. We actually had to Babe had to run out and do a little bit of backwash. We don't have anyways. There's different drain systems that different pools have or don't have. He had to hit a pump.
He had to do pool stuff.
He had to do pool stuff in the rain. Pretty funny. Haha funny, because what else can you do but laugh at shit like that at this point? But anyways, so that was fun. But yeah, no, I got Duchess's home. That's my big excitement. I got Duchess back from the shop, so I can drive Duchess, but then she doesn't like to drive in the rain, so it's been raining. But anyways,
she also doesn't like to drive when it's 100 degrees outside. She doesn't. I don't like to be in her.
That's more accurate. And honestly, she drives fine in the rain. It's not that. It's just not as pleasant to drive because she doesn't have air conditioning, and I don't want my interior getting soaked. So you have to split the difference of, am I going to get rained on and get the inside of the car wet, or is my car going to be a sauna? Yeah. So she's been staying home. But yeah, no, we took her out for a little bit this weekend and working on promoting our car show, the Invasion Car Show on September 24th in Deep Ellum. InvasionCarShow.com. There's your plug. Thanks. Yeah. So no, we've been working on that kind of stuff this weekend, and that's about it. Getting ready for the next few months are just insane for music and activities. So just kind of prepping for all that.
It's exciting. What are you drinking?
I am drinking a white Bordeaux. Oh, that's what the bottle said. It's a Bordeaux, but it's white. I think it's a white grape that happens to be from the Bordeaux region. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, there are white grapes in Bordeaux.
That's a white Bordeaux. It's not bad.
Okay. I usually would think that would be a little sweet, but
it's actually not. And it had one before, and I actually kind of liked it. That's why I bought this one. It was in like the staff picks at Total Wine, so
And you
I
just
gave it a
listen to
shot.
them blindly, just do
I
whatever the
did.
staff tell you.
I did this time. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're stupid.
Sometimes they were drunk when they wrote those cards.
Well, I mean, I wish they were drunker. This could be hilarious. We would write great cards for the wine.
We would write, and I have seen some occasionally that make me
Funny.
chuckle.
Yeah.
I did buy, I ended up, and this goes into what I'm drinking, but I did end up like buying a bottle of wine this weekend that I don't know if I'll ever drink, but I was like hangry after working out and going through HEB, and then it was like in my head, and this woman goes, "Do you want wine?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yes, I do. Thank you, ma'am.
I was like, I don't know how to answer any other way. So then I was like, which one would you like to try? And it's one of those, our HEB grocery store has one of those fancy wine dispenser. I'm sure there is a word for this that I've losing, but
wine tap.
Wine tap, yes. So like the bottle's in there, and then you just like push the button, and it pours magical wine. And there was a Pinot Grigio that was a rosé. And I don't know, I thought it tasted good at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, but I was also hangry and probably was just like, yay, alcohol. So, but then I just started buying more alcohol. I don't know why. Like, I'm not even drinking that much at home. So, but
yeah,
I happened to, I stopped at the Texas beer section just to see like what was up. And they may have had this before and I forgot, but there was the family business Grackle in a can, and that is their oatmeal stout that I really like.
That you like.
And so I think it's oatmeal. Hill Country Imperial Stout. So if you live in a cave or don't know of the family businesses, Jensen Ackles Brewery, along with some other folks. But this one is particularly delicious. I really want their Nitro Rancho one to come out in a can, but they'd have to get nitro cans. That's probably expensive.
Yeah.
But it's really good and thick, and probably it's good and thick. And probably too heavy to be drinking in the middle of summer in Texas, but whatever. I'm in the air. I'm in the air conditioning, and it was like the high today was like 90.
Yeah, I think ours
so.
is
I mean,
we're
in a cool wave. You know,
yeah. This is a cold front. Damn it! Mm-hmm. You drink that stout.
At least it's not like. At least we're not 110 right now. So I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take 90. Mm-hmm. All right. So you want to get into this episode?
So I'm going to preface it with saying something interesting before you get into it. And I think I'm excited to hear this contrast that Liz doesn't like this episode, but Diana did.
Dun, dun, dun.
It doesn't always happen that way. So there we go. All right.
And I am really in the minority. This is a fan favorite episode, and we'll get into some of the things the crazy fans did with this, but I don't like it because I fucking hate time travel as a concept. It makes my head already hurts enough. Okay. So this was, as we said, season 5, episode 4, The End. The title, according to Supernatural Wiki and other sources, may refer to the Doors song, The End. And I'm also really, the Doors annoy the crap out of me now. Mm-hmm. They just do. Yes. Yeah. So that may be also why this annoys me. I don't know. But that song was also used in Apocalypse Now, so maybe, we don't know. This first aired October 1st, 2009. Just to set the mood for that, the number 1 song in the US on that day was I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas.
Okay.
That was 2009. Yep. It was directed by Steve Boyum. We can remember him from Crossroad Blues in the beginning and Death Takes a Holiday. He just directed, I kind of love digging through these guys' stuff because I keep finding TV shows that I need to watch, apparently. So he just directed an episode of Tales of the Golden Tiger.
I don't know that one either.
I don't know that one either. It's on Paramount Plus, and listen to the summary. Antiquities expert teams up with an art thief to catch a terrorist who funds his attacks using stolen artifacts, and the art thief is a descendant of Cleopatra.
What?
Well, that just sounds delightful.
Yeah.
There's heists, there's antiques, there's old stuff. I think there's magic in it, whatever. So, but it's on Paramount Plus, and I think that's one of the ones that I have it canceled because RuPaul's Drag Race is on it.
We haven't canceled any because Dave's in charge of it, so I have like everything streaming.
I went through, one just because this is the summer of hemorrhaging money, and I was like, I had to sit. I was like trying to cut where I could. And just stop,
Reasonable.
excessively just being like, shut up and take all my money. I don't need it. So I went through and was like, okay, which ones do I really need right now? And so that one actually I let go, and then I had to bring back when All Stars started. So thanks, RuPaul.
There you go.
So this episode also was written by Ben Edlund, and there was commentary on the DVD with Ben Edlund, Eric Kripke, and Robert Singer. And I'll share some of the things they said as we go through this, but it was also just really interesting to hear not the director commenting on it. Obviously, they had a lot of praise for what Steve Boyum did, and he did a fabulous job. And we will talk about all the shit that Jensen went through doing the double acting thing, but they did actually submit this episode for consideration for an Emmy, and did not get to that point. But Kripke had also said, if this was a type of, they told Jensen that, I think it was Kripke, like if this was a type of show that got Emmys, this would have been an Emmy winning performance. So it just, like I said, this is very popular with fans. It actually spawned its own live journal community called SPN The End, with 110 journal entries, including some very interesting fan fiction that we may talk about later in this episode.
Oh no!
And
oh no! I just know where it's gonna go.
Who knows where it's going to go? We don't know. So also on August 1st, 2014, the SPN fandom declared it Croatoan Day, and they commemorated the spread of the Croatoan virus, because that was the day that he went through, right? And they wrote Croatoan on their arms. They hoarded toilet paper. So little did they know, these lucky
we'll
fans.
Get there. We'll get
lucky
there.
fans. And also a few actually put on pink panties. So let's get into this, but just kind of wanted to preface that everybody but Liz loves this episode.
All right, well, here we go. So this episode kicks off Dean driving Baby on a street and parks on the side of the street, and he's trying to go into this motel. He gets approached by I wrote proselytizer because I was failing for words at that moment when I was taking my notes. But so that's where I went.
But that was the word you came up with. Like, I couldn't think of preacher.
No, didn't have it. Didn't have it. I don't know.
Street urchin.
Street preacher probably would have been a better, more like simpler word.
Jehovah's Witness.
I don't know.
Proselytizer.
Yeah.
That's a great word. Good for you.
It is a good word. There we go. So, anyways, he asks, but his question for Dean as he's walking by is, have you thought about God's plan for you? And so that's just.
So why, in my brain, there is a part of me that goes, why aren't you suspicious of this Dean? Like, other people, like, yeah, you walk past, a proselytizer on the street and you're probably like, whatever. But if I was Dean Winchester and somebody asked me that, I would probably punch him in the face.
Yeah, that could be a little sus. You're right. I mean, I think I didn't really catch it either. I thought, like, okay, well, this guy, because he was obviously saying stuff to other people that walked by. It wasn't like he only talked to Dean. It was just, that was a very specific. It
was just very pointed. Yeah. And he just looked like milk toast. And I don't trust milk toast. All right.
Milk, that's a good word too. Okay, yeah. So we got Dean in the motel talking to Cass about the cult. And Cass is convinced that demons have it. But Cass is stuck on the side of the road. And Dean's just amused that he's on the phone, talking on a cell phone to an angel. So
That is amusing.
it is. And especially more amusing that Cass is out of minutes. And then I've thought about when was the last time like that was like a normal thing on a cell phone.
Well, there are people who still have cell
But
phones paid by the
most of the plans are unlimited now. Most like plans are unlimited. I know there's certain phones like burner phones and stuff.
Yeah,
don't, but
I'm just like, when people have burner phones, like what about drug dealers? Like they run out of minutes all the time.
I'm sure. Just don't see like them and Cass sharing the same issues, but that's okay.
He didn't get his. This was not brought to you by Cricket Wireless, but yeah. But Dean is also just. It's a very one. I said that he was playing devil's advocate for the fans. I just amused myself saying devil's advocate. But really, this is a hey. This is my exact location, which is great exposition for the episode. So we're like, okay, now we know he's in Kansas City in Century Hotel room, which. Who's Century City? Is that what song is that? Beverly Hills, Century City. Everyone here, so God, it's a fucking punk song and stuck in my head. Anyway, so he's in Century Hotel room 113, and he just wants to be human for a minute.
Yeah, he needs to fucking eat and nap. Fair.
And probably poop. I mean,
probably.
I mean, he hasn't been zapped. Oh, maybe like later on he doesn't have to poop. I guess like that's probably cured. But
yeah. So, anyways, the phone rings in the middle of the night though when he finally gets to sleep, and he assumes it's Castiel because it's 4 a.m. and he's like, I have to fucking sleep, but it's not. Sam actually called Dean. What?
Yeah, of course he assumes that Destiel was booty calling him at 4 a.m. Of course he did. Also, good on you for waking up to your phone vibrating and not having it charging while you're sleeping. Like, what kind of monster are you? Like, where are the batteries in that? I guess maybe he charges it in Baby, but would he put a cell phone charger in Baby? I don't know.
I don't know.
So many questions, but it's Sam.
Yeah, and it's a big deal because we know that they went their separate ways. But basically, Dean now knows pops a beer because he gets this fun information that Sam is Lucifer's vessel. And he's like, oh, so now you want back in is the deal? And he's just really calm about the whole thing. But Sam's like, what do I do? I want back in. What are we doing? And Dean's just like, nah, you just want revenge. Sam's like, no, I want redemption. But Dean's like, yeah, no, we're better off apart. We brought about the Armageddon together. We, just need to pick a hemisphere. We're not stronger together. We're weaker because we get used against each other.
Yeah, and he also very smartly put beer in his hotel fridge, and he just goes for that when Sam calls. And I could sympathize with this. Like, when you get that 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning call from your friend, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Diana. I don't know, but you're just like, oh shit, like I was asleep, but I guess I'm gonna go get a beer now. And right. So that's, I think, also like his point, like when Sam's just like, why are you so calm? And he's just like, man, like after a while, like you just kind of get numb to this shit. And I think we can all probably sympathize with that a little bit.
Yeah. So Sam's like, please don't do this. Dean's like, goodbye, Sam, and hangs up. And I wrote down, ugh. Because
and I think, this is we think of it from a relationship standpoint too, like boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever type of relationship it is. Dean's just tired of being hurt. And he's just like, it's just going to be easier to be on my own and take care of myself. I may be projecting, but
what? Huh? No? Huh?
But honestly, I think that's part of it, right? It's just like he's just trying to protect himself.
Well, and I do think he thinks that he's protecting them in a way because he is so convinced that because he's so busy when there's danger involved, worrying about Sam. And then he feels that Sam's doing the same for him and overdoes it, looking around for him. So he does have a point there, but that doesn't, I don't think the ends justify the means, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. But that's the perspective. And I do see why that's a valid concern. I just don't think he would come to that conclusion.
Yeah. But I also just think that's it's one of the reasons, but also kind of an excuse for a broader issue that we'll start dealing with in this episode. But at least we're finally dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
So
which is great.
He just hangs up on him. Oh boy. And he goes to sleep.
Yeah. And he wakes up. And his room is real creepy now.
It looks
like it may
it looks like it has mold. Yeah.
Yeah. Mold.
Everything is covered in dirt and cobwebs.
That's grody. And he looks out his window, and the surrounding city is now destroyed, the cityscape.
Yeah, it looks like Seattle 2020. But actually, what this actually was the set from the movie Watchmen, which also had recorded in Vancouver, and tie that back into Jeffrey Dean Morgan, aka John Winchester, was also in Watchmen. So they basically took that set and then like decorated up, and there are tons of pictures online of this set, so we'll share some of those on Insta and in the YouTube so you can see them. But lots of fun things here. And so he's walking through, and one thing I want to mention before we go back to the story is you see like a ton of graffiti everywhere, right? And of course, there's some Easter eggs. Some of the top ones I saw, like if you missed it, was Dogs of Peace, which is a play on Gods of War. But someone said also it could be a shout out to the Christian rock band to make it a connection with the fringe element of Christian evangelist that Zach was tapping into. I think that's a lot, but sure. That's possible. There is also one that says Heads Dead, which was a play on Zed's Dead from Pulp Fiction, but about Hedwig.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Poor R.I.P. Hedwig. And one of the other ones is 2 Jane / Nat S, which is a shout out to the cyberpunk novel Neuromancer, which is, if you like dystopian fiction, read Neuromancer, right? So,
I haven't read that one, and I love that shit.
Yeah, and also 2 Janes. Someone was just like, "Oh, 2 Deans." So that is just some cool stuff about what was going on in the background. So
I also have one thing to add was that the marquee at the theater said now playing Route 666, which is a 2001 film starring Lou Diamond
Phillips was a real movie?
and Lori Petty. Tank Girl. Yeah, I'm telling you. Yes. And Stephen Williams was in it. It's a federal witness runs away and a team of government agents track him down. But when they take a shortcut on the return trip, they're attacked by zombies.
Ooh. Do you love a zombie movie?
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen it. There you go. I wish Lori Petty was in it. Anyways, there you go. So, yeah, it's a real film. All right. So obviously Dean's going to go investigate this new fucked up world that he just woke up in, and he has no idea why. So he's wandering around, and no people really, but you get the feeling somebody's watching him, which they're really good at doing that. But it also gives me heebie-jeebies. And he sees a little girl playing in an alley with a teddy bear, and shit's going to be creepy. Like, something creepy is going to happen.
Look at her. She looks like the girl from the Benders. Like, she's not good, Dean. Like, there's a little girl, and you could clearly see she's playing with glass. Like, you don't talk to that child. You just you calmly walk away and try to make sure that kid doesn't see you.
Exactly. Especially when she starts spitting blood onto the fucking mirror pieces on the ground.
Blood coming out of a child's mouth. Like, you don't have to be compassionate in this situation. Run the fuck away.
Run. So she tries to stab him, and he knocks her out. And then he turns and he sees a specific piece of graffiti. What does he see? Croton. It's written on the wall.
All right, so this is also, I think, one of the reasons I dislike this episode. And even during the commentary, Kripke was talking about, I don't know, it was Kripke or Edlund, their voices were kind of confused, but I'm pretty sure it was Kripke, how the Croatoan virus was like, he had this whiteboard of like things that were unfinished. And this like goes back to season 2, like when that was there and just kind of went away. And I feel like this was forced. Like, and I know why.
That's fair.
They explained a lot about why it was the way it was, right? Because there were other things they tried doing, and this is what worked. But it's just so stupid.
I mean, I can see why that was kind of. I do kind of. I can see that. I can see like there probably could have been like 5 other things that caused.
I don't think you
the storyline
needed
to forward the storyline like this, but
I don't think you
you didn't
needed
need
the
that was
Crow.
necessary.
Yeah, you don't need the Croatoan virus to make an apocalypse. You just had Lucifer come to Earth. Like, you don't need a crow. Whatever. So a group of men see him and they start chasing him. So like in all zombie apocalypse things, this is very much like 28 Days Later and
he
in
runs.
Zombie Tap. Yeah, cardio. Important for the apocalypse. Cardio.
And he gets kind of cornered where there's a fence. And then all of a sudden there's gunfire. What? From obviously a belt-fed gun of some kind by the sound. And it's some military or paramilitary personnel with a Humvee mounted heavy-duty firepower. And I didn't look up what it was. I'm sorry. And then it's probably 240. But then they had the soldiers on foot with M4s just taking out this mob. So Dean takes advantage of this moment and crawls away quickly so he doesn't get shot with them.
Taking out the mob to what?
Oh, I mean,
they're taking out the mob of people to the song "Do You Love Me" by the Contours.
"Do You Love Me" by the Contours. Yes, that is playing during all of this, which is really like awful and beautiful all at once. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really, it's like the contrast is like, ooh, gives you like a little bit of like heebie-jeebie, but it's so cool that they did that pairing. And it's hard to say that about shooting people, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, and Ben Edlund actually wrote this into the script, so this wasn't even a directorial decision. This was, well, it was when they agreed to do it, but it was actually in the script, and really wanted, as you were like watching the bodies get littered with bullets, and it looked like they were dancing to the song.
Creepy.
Well, so was the alley that Dean escapes into.
It is, but he manages to dig himself out of it. And as he comes out on the other side of this fence, he sees a sign that says, it's a Croatoan virus hot zone, no entry by order of acting regional command, August 1st, 2014, Kansas City.
What? He's in 2014.
He's in the future.
The future. Yeah,
so he hotwires a car like you do.
Yeah. So he hotwires a car because that still works. Actually, I thought, so it apparently also cell towers don't work in 2014. So
and the radio doesn't work.
So if you still need to get that sat phone. But so
when I was curious about that at first, because I'm like, oh, have we gone to a different network at that time? Is that why the phone didn't work? Then the radio didn't work, and he's like, oh, that's never a good sign. And then Zachariah appears. So I almost wonder if instead of it being a time change that the radio and the phone didn't work, that it was more of an, oh fuck, an angel's about to come fuck my shit up. So the shit doesn't work.
No, I hadn't thought of that. No.
That was my like, because I didn't think it was kind of like, that was kind of like a throwaway like nonsense. Like, yeah, okay, your phone doesn't work. You know, I don't know.
But also every
who the fuck are you going to call in your 5 years in the future?
Yeah,
like,
when he goes to the past or when he goes to the future, they always take out their phones. I mean, and granted, if I had my pocket phone with me, like my pocket computer in the past, I would open it up. It's just what I would do.
Fair.
And I'd be like, this doesn't exist.
I'd be like looking up the lotto numbers for the following week from whatever time I was buying this ticket and this ticket and this ticket. Yeah.
You would be
but
biffing
not
the
really.
whole thing. All right.
Yeah,
So
fuck it all
Zach
up.
flaps
Paradox.
fucking time travel. So that was one of the things too, like, oh man, like they had considered doing this whole thing about like the future Dean remembering the past Dean, like, and then they were just like, no, this is too confusing. And they changed it like
But then
right
wouldn't he
before they
have
went.
to? All right, whatever. We'll get into the
Yeah,
paradox about that in a minute.
See, time travel, stupid. All right, so Zach has a newspaper, and it's got all sorts of fun headlines that he's reading.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first he's saying, he's like, oh yeah, the Croatoan pandemic has reached Australia, and then he starts reading some of the other headlines, like President Palin defends bombing of Houston, which we'll get to the rest of it because I zoomed in on this front page of this newspaper. So I'm going to go ahead and go for this because he goes into it and I was like, holy shit. So the front page, it's the Washington Herald dated August 4th, 2014. The headline is President Palin defends bombing of Houston. Texas to blame for seceding from the Union? Question mark. Yeah. Good shit. And then there's another one about homebrew biodiesel. Is it safe? And then there's another headline about Canadian aid shipments to the U.S. slow down. And then there's one about real estate, talking about this vacant, how the cities are vacant. If you can afford to buy, now is the time. And then another one about weather oddities are today's, like past weather oddities are today's reality.
So that was just a newspaper from 2021, right? President. I also love that their fear at that time was President Palin. Oh, I just had this like sudden flash of like what her White House would have looked like how Palin would have decorated the White House. It would have been epic. Okay, so we're gonna. So Zach is just like,
oh, and then he comments that there's no more sports, just to add into the setting the tone of this reality and that. So he's like, let's get to the sports section. Oh wait, there are no more sports. Okay, so he's like Zachariah. Sorry, my notes say Z to refer to him, so I'm like, oh yeah, his Zachariah. He was using human informants to track down Dean, so he used the quote unquote Bible freak outside of the hotel,
which is smart. Like, yeah. Okay, we can't find you, so we're just going to put our human network in there.
Mm-hmm. And Dean wants to go back, but he's like, nope, you're going to stay here 3 days to marinate on this, on your choices and your decision. And I understand that your course of action right now, or lack thereof, has consequences. Sorry. So by not being Michael's vessel, this is what you get to see what happens.
Yeah, I can also just see like Zachariah as an angel, like yelling at people, like find him, like all in like villainous things, and then like finally like somebody comes up with like the news from the little evangelical boy, the proselytizer, and they're like, "Sir, we found him in Kansas City," and then he's just like, "Finally, get him!" And then like everything just like snowballs from there.
Yeah, he's a little I don't know, extreme in his emotions. He's either like super trying to butter you up or he's fucking mean. Not a lot of in between.
He just reminds me of like a man in corporate America, which is terrifying.
Whoa.
I've been scarred.
Apparently. I was like, damn. All right then. So here we go. We've got Dean decides where's he gonna go when this shit's all fucked up. He goes to Bobby's, because who's gonna believe he's from the future but Bobby, probably. But it's bad news bears at Bobby's because it's cobwebs, abandoned, like looks like someone like rifled through the whole place. Wheelchair's laying on its side with possibly a bullet hole in it.
It looks like a bullet hole with blood in, like right where Bobby's heart would be.
Yeah.
So obvious he got shot in his wheelchair and then just left it there,
which is sad.
So sad.
But his body's gone. But anyway, so they find Dean knows where I guess he has the journal stashed there in the fireplace, and he goes to get it. And in this journal, he finds a picture of 5 guys with rifles. It includes Bobby and Castiel are 2 of them. And it says they're at Camp Chautauqua.
Chautauqua. Titty claw. I don't know. So, but
Titty
Dean's
claw.
like, this is clearly where I need to be at, right?
Obviously. So that's where he goes. Except when he pulls up, he sees two guys guarding the property and one of the saddest sights we've all ever seen on this show.
Yeah, so I just glanced at my notes and I saw he finds a destroyed baby. And for a moment, I forgot, like, the baby wasn't capitalized. I was like, wait, there was a baby that was destroyed?
Baby's fucked up, though. She's been sitting out in this field for
the
a long
important
time and not
baby
cared for.
is not good. She's not doing good.
So he's upset about this. So when he goes to investigate it, he's so distracted looking at her distress that he gets bonked on the head by himself. What? Yeah.
So this is where we start Dean and Dean. For my notes, I just called 2014 the future Dean. I call him 2014 Dean, and the other one I just either call him 2009 Dean or regular Dean.
Mine is just D and D2.
Okay, that also works.
D2 is the one in 2014.
Yeah. So obviously, if you couldn't tell, Jensen is playing both himself and himself 5 years older. And he basically was saying, this was really, really hard. And because acting is reacting. And he said, I never realized how true it was until I didn't have anything to react to. I actually ended up using my stunt double just to be the shoulder and the back of the head. And he's not an actor. And the poor guy gave it his his best shot. And after every take, he was like, man, I'm so sorry. And there's another story about someone else who was brought up. I think this was Jensen being nice. But yeah, so which I understand, right? This is one, these are just nuanced things, right? Because it's the same character, but just one who's harder than the other. And
they've had different experiences at this point, and they've changed because people do change over time to some extent, at least in how they react to things and their experiences and all of that. So,
but can you imagine being an actor and trying to figure that shit out?
No, it'd be really fucking hard.
No, I mean, really, yeah, it was really hard, which is why everyone's like, oh, he should get an Emmy for this. But also, because now that we have Dean and 2014 Dean, that opens up a whole new area of fan fiction for Dean/Dean. So now...
Is that just glorified masturbating?
I don't know. So remember when I said they spawned their very own live journal? Well, part of that live journal was also just fan fiction, including
I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody did. And there were a number of Dean/Dean entries in there, including one called I Only Have Eyes for You. And oh, damn it. Sorry, guy. I can't. Oh, there it is. This was by, oh, man, you should have had a better screen name. IORHAEL-Dreams. IORAL Dreams, whatever. So, in September 2010, they wrote a fanfic about the 2014 Dean, reminding the 2009 Dean who he really belongs to. And I am not going to read the whole thing, but apparently 2014 Dean gets mad because 2009 Dean looked at Cass and then he slaps him and then says, "You are mine, understand?" He backhanded Dean and Dean tasted blood. He was totally lost at whatever had made the man whose face was identical to his completely mad. I saw you. Yep. So lots of Dean fucking himself, which beyond also just seems very narcissistic.
It is. I don't know if he's even that narcissistic.
I really would hope nobody is that narcissistic. Yeah. Also, you would have to be very comfortable with yourself to fuck yourself. Because I know what my flaws are, and I'd be looking at them on me and being like, and then we'd probably just end up with both of us crying and being like, why do we hate ourselves?
Oh, man.
Okay, so let's dive into the Dean versus 2014 Dean interesting conversation. Starting off with, why should I not gank you? So even in 5 years, he's still using that fucking word.
Yeah, Liz's favorite word. So 2019 is trying to think about how to explain who he is, but he's like, look, I'm not a demon or a shapeshifter. And 2014 Dean says, yeah, I know, I've already done all the same tests. Duh. I know you're none of those things. And so 2019 mentions Zachariah, and then he's like, well, shit. Okay. So Dean, 2014 Dean tests 2009 Dean. Oh my God, I can't even do it. You tell the story.
Okay, so along this way too, like, one thing that he brings out is that he had a hidden lockpick, box cutter, and switchblade that he carries that is hidden on Dean's person. And I would like to know where those things are hidden. Thank you very much, because those sound fun. And also, it's really creepy, like pulling things off of your unconscious other body.
Yes.
But so in the asking the tell me something only I would know, which is also bullshit because shapeshifters get all the memories anyways. So Dean says, Rhonda Hurley, we were 19. She made us try on her panties. They were pink and satiny. And you know what? We kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Yep, and so that's why the fans wore pink panties on Croatoan Day.
Of course they did. Yeah. So basically, 2014 Dean wants to know why, what basically is guessing why Zachariah sent 2019 there just to show him how bad it gets. He's like, yeah, this is the Croton virus endgame, turns people into monsters, started 2 years ago. And so 2019's like, well, where the fuck's Sam? Which is a very reasonable thing to want to know. And 2014 Dean kind of hesitates, but then says something about, oh yeah, there's a heavy night in Detroit, and from what I understand, he didn't make it, and that was it.
Yep. And so that's like, but he also said they hadn't spoken in 5 years. So basically, what we think is 5 years. So that is the riff where Dean hung up on Sam.
Mm-hmm. So
5 years
implies to them that this is the last conversation that Sam and Dean ever had, was the one they had right before Dean got booped into the future.
Yep. And so, and one of the things I think comes up in this episode is whether or not this is the future or a making of Zachariah. Like, and at the end we'll talk about what that was. But I want us to kind of keep that in mind too, because if this was the actual future, like, would that have been the same? Like, why did that get played off of? Right, that's a very interesting thing. So 2014 Dean wants to go run an errand, and he's just like, I'm gonna leave you cuffed here.
And he's like, what, you don't trust me? He's like, yeah, no, I know you, I don't trust you. But guess what? 2019 can still break the fuck out.
Yep.
So,
and also, like, he does 2014 also. God, that's so hard to say. 2014 Dean writing it was fine, saying it is something else. But he also points out that this camp is full of traumatized people, and if they see two Deans, that's probably going to fuck with their heads. Like, they can't have the parent trap. But I think that also goes, so we know there's more people out in this camp. We don't know how many. We just know, like, there is just, like, this camp of survivors. It's all we know.
Yeah. And we know it's some kind of a compound of because shit's fucked. But 2019 gets out, and who does he see? One of the first people he sees? Chuck.
And this is, I like this Chuck a lot. This is future apocalypse Chuck, who is, like, made himself useful, because that is how you stay on Team Apocalypse. You make yourself useful. You don't have to be the one who, like, can kill the bear. Like, as long as, like, you can manage whether or not we have toilet paper, you will stay on the team.
And this is where we learn that they have a toilet paper shortage. And I don't think that when this episode came out that they realized that the first time we had a global pandemic in real life was that toilet paper shortages would be a thing. And it kind of, like, it's
can we blame Supernatural for this? Like,
I mean, maybe.
Is Chuck an actual prophet?
Maybe. There you go.
So there's like, they've got, canned goods are fine, but they're almost out of perishables and hygiene supplies, which starts off the toilet paper thing. But then a woman shows up.
Risa, and she is not happy with 2009 Dean, but she thinks it's 2014 Dean.
See why I hate this episode? All right, so she thinks it's 2009 Dean. Fuck!
She thinks it's 2014 Dean, who had spent the night in Jane's cabin.
Yeah, so this is a woman he's with. They think they're cheating. But then Dean uses Chuck as the shield, and it's cute.
Yeah, it is cute. And he's kind of trying to Dean's enjoying it too much, like he does, and it is what it is. So, Dean's like, where's Cass? Let's go find Cass.
Well, he's actually very excited to learn that Cass is alive.
Well, yeah. So he wants to go find him. Well, he does find him. And now we've discovered that Cass has fancied himself into some kind of a love guru that's hosting orgies.
Good on you, Cass. He is basically talking to all these beautiful women, talking about how the key to shared perception is surprisingly physical. And I think we need to kind of delve into this idea of this guru who teaches people. Let's talk about sex cult. Let's go to lore.
Oh, lore.
All right, so we are going to travel back in time again. Let's get some angel boops on our heads. And this time, little angel boops. And this time I'm craving some good, healthy vegetarian food. So let's go to the famous Source restaurant in 1971, Los Angeles. Maybe we'll see John Lennon or Yoko Ono or Joni Mitchell or the other celebrities that like to hang out there while we chow down on some alfalfa sprouts and mashed yeast, which they didn't actually serve. That's just a line from Annie Hall, which actually was filmed a scene there as well. So, all right, we're back in 1971. We walk in and we find this indoor waterfall. There's candles and Zen music, and the staff are all really attractive, but dang, do they look like hippies? We meet a young woman named Robin who says she's married to the owner. She tells us that every kind of person comes here, man, including a lot of rich Beverly Hills matrons. We also draw a lot of smiling swamis in white turbans and those flowing Eastern garments. Ooh, let's check out this menu. Oh, it's all vegetarian. That's pretty exciting. Oh, look, there's a salad, and a salad, and a salad, and a salad. Salad.
Not the most creative menu.
Frankly, honestly, it sounds really good. It's just pretty much raw food. But this was we'll get into this. This is one of the very first vegetarian restaurants in the States. But let's say if we want a high protein salad for $3.25, we can get that. That's going to be romaine, alfalfa sprouts, scallions, cottage cheese, almonds, avocado, tomatoes, and a hard-boiled egg. That's our high protein. The Chinese salad, which is also $3.25, has bean sprouts, scallions, radishes, celery, green pepper, cauliflower, almonds, cucumbers, tomatoes, mushrooms, and a special dressing of sesame oil tamari sauce. So it's all just straight up vegetables. What I think we should go with is a Source special, which is an open-faced sandwich on whole wheat bread that's topped with guacamole, mushrooms, alfalfa sprouts, tomatoes, melted cheese, and the famous lemon herb dressing with a salad.
Sounds delicious. I would eat that.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
I would eat that. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So as we're at this restaurant, we're looking around and we ask Robin, who is that handsome man? He's very tall. He's 6'6". He's got these striking blue eyes, long wavy white hair, and he's in a robe. And she says, well, honey, that's Father Yod, a.k.a. Jim Baker, a.k.a. Yahweh. Wait, is this restaurant a cult? Oh, it is. It's a restaurant and a cult.
Can have it all.
You can have it all. I'm actually pretty. It was I had no idea this existed. This was really a really famous place, and this is what happens when you start Googling sex cults in the middle of the night. So we're gonna figure out how the fuck this all happened, and we have to start off with the dickwad, Father Yod. aka Jim Baker. He was born on the 4th of July, like a Yankee Doodle dandy, in 1922 to Jim and Cora Baker in Cincinnati, Ohio. His father was a firefighter. That doesn't matter much because he left his family at 6 months old. So he takes off. His mom, Cora, is basically earning a living as a domestic, but then the Great Depression comes. So she is having to move all around to feed the family or just Jim. And because I don't think he had brothers and sisters. If he did, it doesn't say. But he's also working because this is, child labor times. It's a depression. And he's doing a lot of outdoor work, and supposedly he becomes America's strongest boy at age 12. Like, it was a thing that was given to him. He gets really interested into wellness and fitness, and he becomes fascinated with the health nut and bodybuilder Paul Bragg, the founder of Bragg Live Foods. So, like the liquid aminos and the cider vinegar things.
Apple cider vinegar. I think I've got some in my cabinet.
Yeah. So that founder, Paul Bragg. So he's reading up at his
the mother.
With the mother.
That's the apple cider vinegar.
Yeah. So Jim is 14 years old and he gets hemorrhoids. He gets hemorrhoids so bad the doctors are like, we need to do surgery, which it probably just means they probably just go and cut off your hemorrhoids, but whatever. So Jim asks Mr. Bragg to come to him and help him, and he does. And he's like, son, what you need is a low-fat, high-fiber diet. So he's like, let's try this. And it cures his hemorrhoids. What? Which is, at that time was probably very radical advice. Don't eat the shit in the can. Eat this, actually eat fresh vegetables. Because in the 70s, everyone just we just want to eat TV dinners, right?
Right.
But from this experience, Jim, in his obsession with wellness and obsession with Paul Bragg, takes this idea to heart that just food can cure everything. Food can be the answer. So that's in the back of his head. So in 1941, at age 19, he moves to Chicago. He goes to the Swedish School of Massage, gets a job at a printing plant, marries a boss's daughter, and together they have a daughter of their own, and her name is Peggy. Well, that same year, though, World War II broke out. Well, specifically Pearl Harbor happened. And so, most young men at that time, he joins. He joins the Marines, and while he's stationed overseas at Guadalcanal, he becomes fascinated with Eastern mysticism and martial arts. He studies judo. That's not a word. He studies judo and jujitsu.
Voodoo and judo at the same time.
Yeah, yes. So, but also add in the jujitsu, so fujitsu. Yep.
There you go.
But he becomes a master and eventually becomes a judo instructor for the Marines. So while he's overseas in Japan, he pops the CEO in his face, and he gets put into the brig.
Okay, that's frowned upon. That's my military
typically.
Expertise.
I don't know if it was a CEO or just an instructor. It was someone of higher rank, and he punches him in the face. Not a great temper.
Frowned upon.
Not a good thing, right? So he's in the brig, but while he's down there, the ship starts to get attacked. So they let him out so everyone can abandon ship. But instead of abandoning ship, he takes a hold of the anti-aircraft guns and shoots down 13 planes.
Okay, so he's kind of a badass.
He's kind of a badass. He's a jujitsu. When you look at pictures of him, you're like, oh, this was a burly man. He was 6'6", and I can also just picture him on this thing, take that.
How annoying was this guy though to talk to? I bet.
Oh no, he's gonna get real annoying.
Well, I just mean in general. I'm always oh, I bet he's so annoying. If you meet this guy, you're gonna know that he's into
a health
jiu-jitsu
food.
And he's a health food person.
Yes,
you're gonna know that within minutes. This is your equivalent of a vegan CrossFitter. Go ahead. Sorry.
He's pretty much
for the era.
He is almost literally a vegan CrossFitter because he's really into exercise. He really is a vegan. He's really into raw foods. But all right, so the ship sinks. Sadly, he doesn't die. I guess he probably just it doesn't say what happens, how he got off the ship sinking. You probably swam 10 miles or rode a dolphin or something. So he goes back to Chicago and he hooks back up with his wife and his daughter, but also just starts doing. Sorry, the family business beer is making me burp a lot. I will probably edit most of that out, but just so you know, that's why there's some pauses here.
It happens.
So he's doing a bunch of random stuff in Chicago. Like he opens a gym, he tries acting, he's teaching jujitsu, and then he's just like, "Oh hey, they're holding auditions for Tarzan in L.A." So he just jumps on a motorcycle and goes to California, leaving Margaret and Peggy behind. Bye.
Huh.
I want to be Tarzan. Woo. So he gets to LA and they're like, "You're too big to be Tarzan. You're a very large man."
Yeah.
So that is not fulfilled. But while he is there, he does meet a woman named Elaine, and she becomes his second wife after knowing him for 6 weeks.
Oh.
So yeah. So
okay.
He is supporting them, making belts and sandals, and they both start getting really into countercultural philosophies. So Eastern misses like more, we want to learn about yogis, we need a guru, all the stuff, which is great. In 1955, when he was 33, this is also something I kind of respect, but so he had a neighbor who had a pit bull, and the neighbor was apparently treating the pit bull badly. So he went over to tell the neighbor to knock it off. The neighbor then pulled a knife on him. Then Jim killed him with his bare hands and basically judo chopped him to the throat. And he died.
Did you remember that famous YouTube video for a minute where it was the redneck ninja, and he'd be like, "Judy chop." It was a YouTube video. It was like when YouTube first heard him. Oh God damn it! I'm gonna find it now.
Yeah, we'll find it.
He called it a Judy chop, and he would show you how to do it. Yeah, it was a Judy chop.
So, well, not great murdering somebody.
No, also, that's frowned upon.
But also the guy was treating his dog poorly, and you should die. So, this one I'm kind of okay with. And so was the jury, and he was acquitted on self-defense. So apparently this time killing somebody really struck a nerve, and he was like digging deeper into this whole wellness mysticism shit. And so he and Elaine open what is ostensibly the U.S.'s first organic restaurant, named the Aware Inn on Sunset Boulevard in 1957. It was very successful and a Hollywood hotspot. So all of like Garbo and other people are like, no, she was old at this time, but the important Hollywood people are coming into here because they're just like, ooh, good food. And so all these hot women are coming in, and Baker's a dick, and he just starts cheating on his wife a bunch. So this goes on, and in 1962, he starts bonking an actress named Jean Ingram. And while she was separated from her husband disagreed that they were separated. So he finds out that this affair is going on, and in 1963, he walks into Jim's office with a gun. At the end of whatever happened, this husband was shot and also judo chopped to the head and was dead. So he's now killed another man.
Yeah. Now, like the first one, okay. The second one's like,
I'm sensing
a pattern.
Make it
a habit.
Yeah. So this time he does get convicted of manslaughter, but due to all sorts of things from the public and all things that are going on, he was sentenced to 5 months and gets out in 3 months. But this also just kind of made him a bigger celebrity, and the restaurant business just booms at this, right? So he and Elaine open a couple of more restaurants, but he just keeps whoring away. And eventually, after 17 years of marriage, Elaine divorces him in 1965. And in the divorce, she kept the Aware Inn, and he kept the restaurant, the Old World. So in 1966, he decides to go to Samoa to find himself. And I don't know if he was looking for the rock or what was happening there. Apparently, according to him, he saved a tribe with organic food and was awarded the chief's daughter. And if this was true, he also left her, and he goes back to LA. So he's back in LA. He's 45 now, and he meets a 19-year-old French hippie named Dora.
Oh.
We're going to start seeing a pattern. So he's
Yeah.
45 and she's 19. Dora is like, hey, have you tried this acid or any of these other drugs that I have?
Oh.
And he is like, woo, I have not. And so he just gets
Oh.
really heavy into boozing and drugging, and he starts stealing from his own restaurant. The investors of the restaurant do figure this out, and so he ends up selling his restaurant, and he and Dora go to Mexico where they are married.
Of course.
Yeah. So in 1968, they come back to LA, and supposedly he meets a stranger named Ray Feldman hiking in the valley, which is also, it's LA. I can honestly see, like, we were hiking in the canyon, and then I met this actor, whatever. So he tells Ray all about Jesus's secret vegetarianism, based on some scriptures that he found. It's basically like QAnon level conspiracy shit of the 60s. You know,
Okay.
like in the back of some magazine, it was like, these gospels exist, and in these gospels, Jesus was a vegetarian, and that
For
was
sure.
his whole message. And so this guy was like, this sounds great. Here's some money. And so the Source restaurant is opened on April 1st, 1969. Ooh, 69. All right. So this restaurant starts, and, you know, it's, first off, it's like, it starts off all vegan, which doesn't work, and they change that to kind of vegetarianism. The servers, so, are all hired based on their aesthetic appeals. They're basically hiring hot young hippies. At
Right.
this time, Dora leaves Jim and goes to France, and while she's away, he gets married again. They weren't divorced yet.
I was gonna say, like, he's got some polygamy issues, right?
Yeah. And so, but don't worry, she got married too. So she goes to France and gets married. Then I guess, like, the other spouses find out about each other, but Dora's like, I'm over you. But this also is, like, I think one of the few times that a woman left him, and he's just like, whoa, how
Like,
dare you,
what?
this bitch, leave me, even though I married somebody else. But
Right.
so he never
Because
really gets over her. So one night he's at one of his fancy Hollywood parties or whatever goes on in LA, and he meets Yogi Bhajan, who is a Kundalini yoga master. And according to Jim, he was upset that Bhajan was getting more attention than he was, and he goes to leave. I'm gonna go home. Nobody likes me here. And Bhajan put a hand on his shoulder and said, "Son," and invited him to morning meditation. So, of course, Jim, I grew up without a father figure, and I wanted to just go to every man who calls me son. It's just
right.
like, yeah, this is my dude. I'm gonna, he's my guru.
Yes.
So he starts following him around. He starts dressing in all white robes and converts to Sikhism, which Bhajan was also a member of. Then he starts getting a little more obsessed. So at the restaurant, he puts cards on the table that says Bhajan is God. And
Whoa.
Bhajan is like,
No, I'm not
hey,
really God.
what?
Hold on.
What? So he sends people to, like, guys over to, like, take those cards off. So these guys, like, Bajan's guys come and they take the cards off. And Baker just makes new ones and he puts them back. And then Bajan is like, all right, you're banned from my ashram. And he bans him. Then Jim just, like, breaks into it. And who knows where this would have gone if there hadn't been another 19-year-old. So now he meets this lovely young woman named Robin, who likes to go eat at the Source in a white bikini, and she's a dancer at the Whiskey, just partying, cool chick. And he just starts stalking her. And she keeps asking her out, and she's like, I don't want to go out with you. He starts following her up and down Sunset Boulevard in his car while she's walking. I mean, like, come out with me. Hey, baby, let's go to this Kundalini yoga class. You'll love it. Like, turn on, man. And finally, I think out of just, like, desperation or frustration, she is like, all right, if I go out with you, then will you just fucking leave me alone? Which I hate that. I know as a woman, we've all been battered into this. And like, hashtag, no, don't do that anymore, ladies. No, we're done. We're over that. So, but then something weird happens. Well, weirder than whatever has been happening already. So Robin agrees to go out with him. And instead of what her plans were for that night, and her plan for that night was to go to her friend Sharon Tate's house. Guess what happened at her friend Sharon Tate's house that night?
Whoa, Sharon Tate got killed.
she got killed by the Manson family. So yeah, so the next day Robin wakes up and she hears this and she's like, oh shit, this is destiny, this is fate, Jim's a prophet.
Oh no.
Yep. So basically she becomes his first disciple. They are married 3 months later.
Of course.
So by the fall of 1970, the restaurant is failing because Baker's just not that great at running a business at this point.
Right.
So he's like, I'm going to go to India and go visit my friend Yogi Bhajan. While this is happening, Robin's like, cool, he's gone. And she takes over the restaurant and makes it work. Like all the staff like gets into shifts and like basically,
she runs it.
Yeah, she's just like, okay, which I feel like this is like the Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen, where it's just like the one, like if you did that one guy just left, the restaurant would be fine.
Yeah, the one toxic person in the business.
Yep.
Like, no, you can still be the owner, but you can't fucking be here.
Yeah, you can just be the owner in another building or another country.
Yeah.
So while he's over there, though, Baker does get the revelation that no, he's not meant to follow spiritual leaders. He is a spiritual leader.
That's, that was the last piece that just had to fall into place for him.
Oh no, there's other pieces that have to fall in, like young women's vaginas. But so he comes back and he's like, now he's just like dressing full on guru. He's just in his flowing robes. His hair is growing out, getting all like nice and guru-y. And he starts calling himself Father Yod, which is a takeoff of something to do with Yahweh. And he starts building his.
I just think of Chode.
Yep. We may just call him Father Chode for the rest of this episode because it's not wrong. So he wants to build the enlightened human race, and Robin becomes his biggest advocate and promoter because he's a prophet. And the restaurant starts having Sunday morning meditation class, and Baker is there and he's teaching classes in meditation, religion, Eastern philosophy. So part of it is just like him being like, this is how you meditate. Also, like, this is how you do the weird Kundalini yoga breath. And if just YouTube Kundalini yoga and you'll see what the breath is. I've done it. It's weird. But he's just channeling the word of God and just like rapping with his students, just like, ugh. And in 1971, he and Robin together write the book Liberation, and includes his 10 commandments for the Aquarian age because, also he's convinced we're living in the Aquarian age. He's one of them. I guess they're all, this is the 70s. Everyone's a cult. Everyone is into a cult. A cult and cults.
Sure.
So he writes his own 10 commandments. We don't have time for me to read all of them, but we'll do a cherry pick like they did. So they basically just cherry picked from other religions. They're like, we're taking the best parts, which is what I think most religions do. So his first commandment was obey and live by the teachings of your earthly spiritual father, aka me. Number 2, love your earthly spiritual father more than yourself, aka me.
These are very convenient. Very convenient.
Right? Isn't it? But so good that like he was able to get these. So part of it is harm not one of your body parts, either by neglect, food, drink, or knife. That goes into things later, but one, that's you need to be a vegetarian, eat well. Don't drink. Even though I used to be an alcoholic, not anymore. Right. I don't think I am, but I am. I'm still drinking. Don't do drugs except for the drugs that I'm going to give you or that we're going to do together.
Right.
But the knife part is also one of the fundamental belief that Western medicine is not something you should be doing, like hospitals, doctors, those type of things. And there's another important one that we'll get back to later. In number 6 was the man and his woman are one. Let nothing separate them. So this is like, hey, me and Robin, like, we're monogamous, we're together. Don't let anything separate. You guys are all going to get married to each other. Eventually, I'm going to tell you who you're marrying, but you're going to be monogamous. That's a thing now. And his students, like, they're like, these are great, man, groovy. And they start dressing like him and calling him father and doing what he said, and he liked it. And so one of the things that he really does also is kind of like this love bombing. And so, like, when you like met him, he would like hug you and whisper in your ear, "Welcome home. I am your father, and you are my child."
I mean, I'm sure.
Ew!
Yeah, I mean,
Ew!
I bet like it was intended to be very comforting, and I'm sure for certain people that could be, but no.
If I was a 19-year-old woman and a 45-year-old man hugged me and said that in my face,
Did you kick him in the balls?
oh yeah, I'd probably rip his testes off, but I would also vomit on the spot. That's disgusting.
That's gross.
Yeah, but these are kids, both men and women, with a lot of daddy issues, and that's why they're looking to join a cult. Things are really fucked up in the 70s because it's the 70s. So this all works for them. This is great. So March of 1972, Jim decides that, hey, my employees and my followers, you're so burdened by rent and paying your bills and the man. So
fucking man,
why don't you just give me your money and we'll all move into one house?
Oh, way easier.
So much easier. So at first, like, this is all really great because he gets a mansion. And he gets a 24-bedroom mansion called the Chandler Mansion in Los Feliz. And it was pretty swank. It had like an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And this becomes known as the Mother House. And so while you're there, you get to like get up at 3 a.m., go swim in the pool, meditate with Jim. You got to smoke your sacred herb, but you only got to do that a few times a day. You're not getting high. It's your sacred herb.
Right, it's part of meditation. It doesn't count.
Also, Jim and Robin don't live there. They live in their own place, like above the restaurant. Because I think they're just like, what the fuck? We're not living with all these people. But so that's how it starts off. Then they're also like, hey, Jim's like, if your flesh family, which is such a gross term, your flesh family is not joining you, you need to cut ties with them because they're not good for you. And a lot of the people who are following and working in the restaurant were underage kids, especially underage girls. And the parents weren't that happy about that. So Jim did have a solution: get married. So a lot of you come in as an underage follower, you got married to somebody. So then like they couldn't come in and say we're doing statutory rape. This is a marriage, which is why child bride things are terrible. All right. So say like, I want to live at the Mother House. This sounds great. I've been going to the source and all these hot hippies are there. So
smoking weed and swimming all day. I mean,
yeah, it sounds great. All 100 of us living in one house. That sounds great. So if anybody came up to the restaurant or thing and like express an interest, they would get Jim's written words of liberation and the 10 Commandments and get invited to a morning meditation. After they did that, they had 3 visits. Then Jim would ask them if they were devoted, and they would have to convince him that they really wanted to be there. And so they did that by giving him all of their shit.
I was gonna say, but how do you show your devotion? Here's my money.
Here's all my monies. Take my monies. Money, please. All right. So then they would move into the Mother House and then get, oh, by the way, these are Father Jim's new teachings. You have to follow these. Please keep them in your notebook and don't tell anybody. You are sworn to secrecy about what happens here. Oh, and one more thing. You need to change your name. So everybody who was a part of the family changed their last name to Aquarian. And Jim would give them first names like Electricity, Isis, Sunflower, Mushroom.
I mean, did he pay them at random or did he try to like make it match their personality?
He, especially, I think a lot of like, so Robin becomes Aum. Aum.
It's just a noise.
It's spelled like A-H, like O-H, like Aum. Aum. but I think they always had like a
An
story, like
onomatopoeia. It's not even a fucking name.
yeah,
Anyways.
but so Isis is like the she becomes a historian, and we'll hear more from her later. But yeah, and so but I like what happens like, and there's a really great biography by the woman named Mushroom. But I'm like, what do you got the name Mushroom?
Right?
And
Maybe she ate a lot of mushrooms.
perhaps, or but also like electricity. Like, hi, I'm electricity.
She had an electric personality.
And these names, like, clearly they also just go down to like all the family, like, because a lot of kids are being birthed in this house too, right? Like, this is just happening, right? So much that 1972, in April, a 15-year-old girl named Heaven was having Sunflower's kid. Now, Sunflower is 28. They got married because her parents are like, why do you run away from home? We're sending the cops after you. And this is one of those, you're going to get married. So she's having Sunflower's baby. And Baker is like, well, we're going to have this at the house. So it's at the mother house, you know, for holistic reasons. Not so we didn't have to explain to a hospital why this 15-year-old girl was having a baby.
Right.
So there are 100 folks at the mother house. They're watching Heaven go through her 22 hours of labor.
Oh, God.
And I will tell you, spoiler alert, in the documentary on the Source family, it's in there. The entire birth.
Wow.
Yeah. So after 22 hours, the baby is finally born stillborn. And it has an umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. Also in the movie. Ugh.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So watch like this head like coming out of this bushy vag of a 15-year-old. Which is horrifying. So it comes out and it has the umbilical cord around its neck, and everyone's like, this child is dead. And then Jim takes the baby, basically tells God, like, if you make this kid okay, I won't do nothing but say the word of God forever. And then he unwraps the cord from its neck, and the baby starts breathing. It's a miracle. So now everyone.
So, I mean, you just stopped suffocating it. That's what happened.
Yeah. But it's everyone is science. Or God.
Sure.
Or Jim Baker.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, God. Yeah. Go for it.
So everyone is further convinced that he's awesome. And so, but then, so things are going on. The year's going through. And he meets a 19-year-old named, I forget what her actual name was, but her name gets changed to Makushla. And when he meets her, he gets a revelation. Oh, women should be able to choose their own partner. Clearly, I love women.
Yeah, I don't think that was his motivation.
Yeah, so this revelation means that he and Makushla should bone. And Robin's like, hey.
Wait.
What about that commandment?
Like, wait a minute.
We made a fucking commandment. It's not like we even just like made our marriage vows. You made a commandment, asshole. Right. And he is like, you're stunted spiritually. And then she's just like, you're a perverted old man. I'm sorry. No, she says, you're a dirty old man on a lust trip.
Ooh.
But she stays with him.
Of course she does.
So she stays with him. And eventually, like, Baker gets up to 14 wives, most of them underage. And so this is upsetting to...
She still stays with him? Okay, like that one. Like...
Yeah, he has 13 wives plus Robin. And a lot of the times, like when he was preaching, it was, and you can see this on the documentary, he just talks about balling, which is his code word for fucking, and like how good it is to be balling, and like, ugh, I hate this guy so much. All right, so they're at their mother house, and they've been there a year or two.
He's just eating veggies and fucking teenagers. That's his life.
Yeah, been doing drugs, tripping, and smoking the sacred herb and balling and reaching enlightenment. So,
sure.
And by 1973, though, the neighbors of the mother house are starting to complain. And part of it is, hey, Manson just happened. We don't really trust cults right now. They're kind of sketchy. But also, I'm betting they were shitty neighbors. Like,
They were probably not the best.
Like 100 people at a house, like, you know, they're naked everywhere. You know, they're fucking everywhere. You know, they smell. You know that, like, they all smell.
They aren't
like,
maintaining the yard.
Yeah, they're like farting carrots every day. Like, you know, there's just like once a week, like they would all get into like their little vans and like go to the beach together and like their little white outfits and like go and oh god, you just know
they sound so annoying.
They sound terrible. They were they were the worst neighbors. And finally, like their landlord was like, "Hey, we're not renewing your lease." But also they were leasing this mansion, which I think is hysterical.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
So they moved from the 24-bedroom mother house to the father house, which is a 3-bedroom house in Nichols Canyon.
Oh,
yeah.
So is this like bunk beds going on?
Yeah, so they actually added 3-by-6 foot cubby holes to the bedrooms. So everyone's getting like
pods,
like Japanese pods. They were like, that was actually the size of it was like the Japanese escape pods. That's what everybody had for their family living space too, probably not just like their own. Because remember, they're having kids, right? There was also no stove in the kitchen. I'm not sure if this was the father house or the mother house. I think it was the father house. And according to ISIS, you know, there is no need for one. The family eats just twice daily, uncooked fruit and nuts and seeds and milk and honey. This morning, the women served a pie of crushed nuts topped by guacamole, sliced tomatoes, and alfalfa sprouts, a fruit and nut salad, sliced bananas with yogurt and carob dressing, wheat rolls with herb sauce, and milk. So these people are eating this, and there's like one bathroom.
It's all so much fiber.
Fiber and probiotics. You know that was disgusting. All right. So at this point also, he decides that they need a band. So because living next door to these fuckers,
that's what they're missing.
Enough, right?
Is bad music.
Yeah. So he gives the drummer, whose name was Octavius, a budget of basically either somewhere from $30,000 to $50,000, which is basically a couple $100,000 in today's money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, to buy instruments and recording gear to set up a studio / rehearsal space in the family garage. Theoretically, they soundproofed it, but I doubt it. So the band gets formed with Sunflower, so Heaven's partner, and a guitarist named Jin, DJIN, like the genie. And so they make Aquarian music as Father Yod and the Spirit of 76. Because also, Father Yod was obsessed with the Founding Fathers. And stonemasons, partially because he was born on the 4th of July. I told you he's a Yankee Doodle dandy. So he names the band the Spirit of 76.
So weird.
It's so weird. And so while this band is going on, he's like, clearly, I need to be the singer. And he becomes the singer. And he also plays some kettle drums. He doesn't like the beat of anything. So he just kind of makes up words and lyrics and everyone's just like, oh yeah, so we had to go improvisational. We'll get back to what happens to the Spirit of 76 in a minute. All right, so like I said earlier about the kind of the health thing, Baker had come to this belief, and it's something from other mysticism practices, that the blood platelets contain a person's memories, so that when you die, you have to be unembalmed for 3 days, and your blood goes through your body, and you remember everything that happened in this life, so you can learn from it, reincarnate into the next life, right? So because of that, that's one of the reasons that you can't go to the hospital, because what if they give you a blood transfusion, do all these other things that fuck up your thing. So, but we have all these people living in a tiny house, and they're not hygienic because you can't be. And so just staph infections just start breaking out all over the house. And they try chanting, they try visualizing the staph infections away, but somehow that's not working.
Weird.
Yep. So, but at this time, a young mother, she got a staph infection and she gave it to her baby through nursing.
Mm.
And she's just kind of sitting there going, like, do I take it to the hospital? Do I take it to the hospital? Do I? And finally, she's just like, I gotta take it. Like, no, my baby gonna die. Like, so.
Yeah.
And remember, they have the secrecy thing, and they're not supposed to be like going to a hospital, telling people what they do, any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But she takes the baby there, and they're like, if you waited like one more hour, this kid would have been dead. So the
Ugh.
baby is actually saved. But then the hospital's like,
Where did you live?
how does baby get a staph infection? Tell me what's going on. So investigations start happening more. And so Jem decides what we need more discipline and stricter rules. He decides that everyone needs to become a registered Sikh like him because they have a religious exemption from embalming. So if somebody dies at the house, they don't need to go to a funeral home. And we don't need to report this to the authorities. Ooh, that's not sus at all, Jim. He also decides that women can only be with the men he chooses, and that a woman's role was to attend the earth trip of her designated God man, which is how he described his sons or the men that were around him. God man. And you're going to get paired with them. Enjoy Octavius. All right. Also, women at this point now can no longer work outside the house, and they have to cook and clean instead. And according to former member Laura Garone, he decided that the women in his family should be impregnated and produce what he believed to be a new race of Aquarian children.
Oh.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
Also, according to her, when she became a nursing mother, he referred to her as one of the milk cows of the family. Clearly loves them so much. Also, they're not allowed to talk to people outside the family at this point because that could ruin their purity.
That's what he's worried about.
Their purity.
Their purity.
Yep. But he's also doing this for them because women are not emotionally equipped to deal with the outside world, and therefore he and the family had to protect them.
I mean, they haven't been doing it for, thousands of fucking years at this point.
Nope, we need Jim Baker to save us. So, finally, 1974 comes and he gets another revelation. I'm God! Yay!
Wow. I mean, he doesn't have an ego at all.
At all. No. So, but also you're really seeing like kind of this typical cult leader escalation, right? So, I'm a spiritual man. You're following me. Oh, I need more wives. Oh, I'm God, right? Yeah. So he changes his name to Yahweh, and he changed the name of the band to Yahweh 13. So Yahweh 13, like in 3 different words. And their debut album, Cowatech, I forgot what rock thing I'm quoting this from, but was steeped in the avant-garde funk and jazz of Malcolm Mooney era Can, with additional vocals from family member Anastasia and 2 of Father Yode's 14 wives, Iom and Aquariana. Aquariana, can you imagine that being your name? I'm Aquariana Aquarian.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't her last name Aquarian? That's fucking awful.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's the least of our concerns with everything else going on.
And this day also, I'm kind of like, well, I mean, maybe Aquariana is not that bad of a name. So, over the course of 2 years, Yahweh 13 recorded 65 albums, 9 of which were actually pressed, and they all had various names of names and lineups in there with different source members. And Baker just is like, I love being a rock star. I'm so cool. And so he starts taking pictures with all his wives. And actually, some of these pictures are stunning. And this is one of the problems with this cult. And as we get to the end, we talk about the documentaries and things. It's just like this image of them being super stylish and super cool. Because here's I'm this cool Yahweh with all my fucking bitches, and these women, they're hot. They're really gorgeous hippie women in all these beautiful clothes.
Yeah.
And he also is like, you know what else I need? I need a Rolls Royce. So basically he embezzles $34,000 and gets a purple Rolls Royce to go running around town. They start going to all the Hollywood clubs and they're just balling. The government says, hey,
wait a minute.
And they start to investigate.
Uncle Sam didn't like that?
Well, I mean, he got rid of Spirit of 76. And so I think once he was like, no, now I'm talking about God, they're like, hold up. You were patriotic, but now you're just a shitty embezzler.
That was their concern. Okay.
That was a concern, not any other of the shit that the shit we're about to get into. All right. So things are starting to go a little weird, right? And so he's starting to cling in things and just become more and more mystical. And he really gets obsessed with Aleister Crowley. Fucking douchebag Aleister. Why does it always come down to him? He gets obsessed with Aleister Crowley and the Golden Dawn, and particularly sex magic. So first off, it just starts kind of easy, and he starts just doing some teaching tantric sex. Like, we were just gonna build up, fuck up our emotions, and like on this trip of me and my underage women, and then he starts introducing kadosh, which I think is how you say it. That's how I heard someone on the podcast The Cult say it, so I'm going with that. And kind of goes back and forth about what this is, but basically, if you're a woman on your menstrual cycle, you had to have sex with multiple men because your menstrual cycle is full of power. Your blood is. So you need to bang as many men as possible within our family, not outside the family, of course. And right. Often one right after the other. Then the blood was mixed with the semen and not confirmed, but pretty sure they ate it. Nobody will confirm that, but pretty sure. And the reason why I'm pretty sure is that Garon was talking about there's this tarot deck. I love tarot decks.
I know you do. I can't.
I know when you start Googling, you're going to see the pictures.
No.
You will, because they're going to show up. And it's just like Jim fucking his wives, like on this tarot deck. And she says there is one card where there is a naked Methuselah. She's laying down, and Jim is holding a chalice to her mouth to signify they just did kadosh. Yeah. All right, so now we've got sex magic. So that makes a great cult. But you know what a cult really needs? They need apocalypse doom. So now Jim just starts saying, oh shit, the apocalypse is coming and it's going to hit LA. And so we need to leave. So I'm going to sell the restaurant. So, which is probably a really fucking stupid move because this was their income. Like at this peak, it was bringing in $300,000 a month. At this point, I don't know if it still was, but it was a very successful. I mean, fucking John Lennon would go eat there. Like,
it was very successful.
It was very successful. Sure. So he sells it. And then he's like, I've had visions of mangoes, and so Hawaii is going to be safe from the apocalypse. So we're all going to Hawaii, and or at least that'll be safe from all the people we've pissed off, like Child Protective Services, these underage girls' parents, the government, the health department, the building inspectors, sure. Various law enforcement. They won't be in Hawaii, so they moved to Kauai.
It's a very long flight.
Yeah, So they moved to Kauai, and much to their chagrin, they were not met with lays. They were met with suspicions and threats of gun violence. And the sexy family just doesn't understand. I mean, we're pretty. Did you see our picture in Rolling Stone? Like, we're fucking hot. And everyone in Kauai is just like, fuck you. And I wish there's a Hawaiian word for, I'll think of it later. So basically, like
y'all are fucking weirdos. Just because we live on an island doesn't mean we buy into your shit.
Yeah, and there's also at this time like a lot of cults are just going to Hawaii and trying to like set up shop, and like also the islanders just really don't like outsiders, especially on Hawaii. They don't. And I have a friend who lives there now, and apparently that is still the case. And
it is, yeah.
So Baker decides that he is going to use the money from the sale of the restaurant to buy a fishing boat and an airplane so that they can see the fish from above.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's not great.
Sure.
It's not great. So they're not making any money. They're getting threatened. So basically they get a bunch of guns They post guards and they set up a range, and Jim is like, you need to shoot to kill. Look, I killed 2 guys on bare hands. Y'all can shoot somebody with a rifle. And they're like, but we're hippies. We don't believe in violence. I dodged the draft to get away from this. So things just go to shit. And after a few months, he decides that I need to go find a new home for us. So I'm going to take me, Robin, Makushla, 2 other wives, and 2 of our male dudes, and we're going to go find our new home. So we're going to travel around the world first class. They go to India, they go to Egypt, they go to Greece, they go to Denmark, Germany, England, and Canada. Meanwhile, in Hawaii, everybody's starving. They're eating fruit that they're finding in the jungles, and everything's getting repossessed. And Jim did leave them, instructions on how to get jobs and feed themselves, but they're broken children who are in a cult, and they don't know how to do anything. They've been working in a restaurant forever, and they're really they are shunned from being hired anywhere on the island.
Right, it's just because they're part of a cult and they're outsiders.
Yeah, it was like, you can go on welfare. Here's your welfare. It's a one-way ticket back to the States. So they all decide they can't wait for him to come back anymore. So they all go to San Francisco to wait for him, but they don't have a house. So they get 4 motel rooms for 100 of them.
Oh no.
Baker comes back and he's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You're gonna call we were trying to avoid the attention of cops. This is not good. And he was like, he shames the male followers for not getting jobs, and he starts threatening them you need to find jobs and leave.
I mean, he's not wrong, right?
He's not wrong, but also, what the fuck were you doing, Jim? So June of 1975, he goes back to Hawaii, and this time they go to the Big Island, and everything still sucks. So they just start doing a bunch of coke and nitrous oxide. It's like you do.
I mean, mixing it up a little bit.
Things are shitty, so let's do some nitrous. So Baker moves in with a hang gliding expert. And while he's living with them, he gets a revelation that he's going to die and they need to prepare. He also decides that he's going to go hang gliding. He's never been hang gliding, and
it's a weird plan if you've had that revelation.
Yep, and this is also an island where people are like, you shouldn't go hang gliding there. The winds are really shitty. Unless you're somebody, nobody should hang glide here. But he is like, it's fine. Jesus is the wind. Jesus will take care of me. So he goes hang gliding and he jumps off this cliff. And at first things are fine. The wind is blowing. And then Jesus just stops the wind and he splats to the ground.
Oh.
So, but he doesn't die. So he's on the ground and all his followers come running up and like, what should we do? And Makushla is like, remember, you don't believe in hospitals. And so they're like, what should we do? And he's like, transmute my pain. And nobody knows what that means. And they just start chanting like, transmute my pain, transmute his pain. And while these women are all screaming, this is all filmed, by the way. So they take him back to the house, right? So they take him back and they're like, okay, how are we going to fix him? So they give him champagne, aspirin, marijuana, cocaine, and nitrous oxide. So, and everyone thinks he's fine because he just gets too high to feel anything.
Yeah.
But that didn't actually probably, all the internal injuries that he suffered when he fell out of the sky, and he dies. So the Source family continues.
But he died high.
He died baked. Baker died baked.
High and surrounded by his many, many wives.
High and surrounded by his many, many wives. So the Source family does try and continue for a couple of years. Makushla is leading it as the spiritual leader with the rest of the wives, even keeping Kadosh alive. But in 1977, they end up going their separate ways. And they all have different stories. Some of them were actually very successful. There's a few that are millionaires. Others joined other cults because they needed some people just belong in cults, right? And there are others who still have not let go, who are still have Aquarian in their name, including Isis the historian, who is one of the wives, who claims that Baker speaks to her regularly and says that she still has work to do. And but also if you try and speak badly about the family now, like they're still coming after people, according to Garone and other people. Like they're really trying to keep this idea of like this positive, like utopian world.
Wow.
Yep. In 2007, the founding Yahovah 13 members get back together. Yeah, everyone really wanted that. And to play the release of Isis and Electricity Aquarian's book, The Source, The Untold Story of Father Yod. And the band followed up with several shows on the West Coast and released the album Sonic Portation in 2008 and 2013 and 2010. Several major musical groups cite them as an inspiration, and the albums are really collectible psychedelic rock albums now. They cost a fuck ton of money, and they're fucking awful. They are awful.
Don't make me listen to it.
No, I'm not going to make you listen to them. No, I listen to them. My ears will not recover from that.
Okay. Good.
Don't listen to them.
I mean, not good that your ears won't recover. I'm just glad that you're not going to make me.
But then things get even grosser. In 2009, American Apparel teamed with Anthology Recordings to digitally release Yahovah 13's music and produce a Source Family t-shirt featuring a photo of Jim Baker on the front and the Family Commandments on the back. Yeah. Fuck you, American
but like
Apparel.
Also, is it kind of like kitschy, like funny to like wear some like cult shit?
Well, and not? I'm sure everyone thought it was kitschy and funny, except when you think about the fact this was a pedophile who is basically enslaving a bunch of women to do his bidding and then making them drink their periods mixed with cum.
Yeah, no, it's gross too.
Fuck this shit.
But like, it's also like people who like wear like fucking like serial killer shit.
Yeah, but I think these people really aren't like thinking of it as like irony. I think they're just like these guys, like they're style icons, right? It becomes like these guys were cool. Like Che Guevara
they tried to
cool,
they successfully,
you know?
they in some regard they successfully rebranded themselves.
Yeah, they did,
which is impressive and fucked up.
Yeah, so in 2012, the Source Family documentary is released, and this is the one where you can see a fuck ton of vagina, way more vagina and penises than you ever wanted to see. And I watched Naked Attraction while I was in England, which, by the way, you should watch Naked Attraction. Oh, shit. I will explain later. So everybody in this is like pretty much pro the family, and they interview all these people who have kept their names. They all say like good shit about being in there and their experience in there. So there's still people out there talking about how great this was. In 2019, the restaurant Gratitude Kitchen and Bar decided they were going to redo the Source's menu with featuring CBD doses and optional wine pairings for a $75 5-course dinner. And of course, Isis was there to tell stories. So, and everyone who came had to wear white or cream clothing. Y'all. No. No. Yeah, so that's the story of how a restaurant became a cult.
Huh. That's fun.
Yep.
So, yeah. Fucking vegan CrossFitters.
Fucking vegan CrossFitters. I mean, I'm not going to lie, that restaurant sounds delicious. And I kind of...
It does.
I actually may use that like as a menu for some salads over the next like couple of weeks because it sounded pretty good. I'll post pictures if I make one. But yeah, that sandwich sounds delicious. So I'm just like, I don't want that sandwich.
And no offense if you're a CrossFitter. It's just a joke. And my knees can't do CrossFit, and I don't want to hear about your CrossFit. That's all.
I don't want to hear about CrossFit. It's dangerous. I have many friends and family members who are CrossFitters. Y'all are stupid.
Good for you. Good for them.
Yeah, good for the. I can't say anything. I have a neck injury from falling off a hoop. Like I can't be like, oh, you're trying to snatch too much weight, which you're snatching weight. All right, so let's
talk about snatch right now.
Okay, so we're gonna no more snatch.
Reset booping.
We're gonna boop ourselves back to the future that's in the past. So we're going to the 2014 future in the past. Fucking time travel.
Yeah. And so we've now learned that Castiel is having sexy hippie time and is a love
He's a sex guru
kind of guy. Yeah.
Love guru.
So there we go.
Yeah, and he also recognizes that Dean's a time traveler, so which is nice.
Correct.
It's like, which is cool. It was like, at least I don't have to explain this shit again.
Yes. And Dean's like, yeah. So Dean, 2009, Dean's like, yeah, strap on your angel wings and send me back. And so Cassiel laughs. I thought this was funny. So I don't go into this detail. He's like, yeah, I wish I could. Dean asks him if he's hot, if he's stoned. And Castiel responds, generally.
Yeah, Cass.
So
Woo!
there we go.
Yeah, I love 2014 Cass. I think he's great.
And 2009, Dean asks, what happened to you? And Castiel says, life.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm still in the 70s. I'm like, dude, yeah, far out. All right, so 2014 comes back in an awesome Jeep.
Yeah. And then he's about to shoot one of his own guys in the back of the head.
After he toasts him with the beer, which is even more fucked up. They toast each other with a beer.
Yeah, he's gonna shoot him. So 2019 tries to like get attention, like, what the fuck are you doing? But still shoots him. Anyways. But now everybody's seen 2019. So 2014 Dean's kind of just like, yeah, just don't worry about it, guys. We'll talk about it later. Just like dismisses it.
Well, he's also
and they're
like,
just fine with that.
They're like, not gonna lie, it's fucked up, but I'll tell you later. I mean, so
yeah.
I mean, if you're living in the Croatoan virus and shit, it's like living in 2020 to 22. We're just like, oh, okay,
shit's fucked up. I guess
murder hornets are a thing now. Okay, monkeypox is a thing. Okay, like you're just like, oh, whatever.
So basically, the guy 2014 Dean explains to 2009 Dean that the guy was exposed and was about to be starting to show the early symptoms of the Croatoan virus, and that's why he had to kill him. And so, and he also goes on, hey, look, this is my time. You need to listen to me.
This is our time. Also, he just calls like the Croatoan people croats, and it's just I don't like it. I don't like it. Croat.
No?
Some croat.
Croat.
I think it because it sounds like a Croatian slur or something. Like, I don't know. It just
makes me think of kraut. I don't know.
Sauerkraut.
But anyways, so Dean, 2009 Dean's like, so what was this mission you were on anyways? Now we find out that 2014 Dean just now gets the cult. Just now gets the cult.
Just now gets
They've been trying to find this since freaking 2009.
Yeah, and apparently also the fans were freaking out because they really thought the cult was going to be like the answer to the season of like how they kill Lucifer, and everyone's like, "Don't be that lame."
Yeah. So either way, we cut to a little bit later at night. We've got freaking Castiel, we've got Risa, we've got both Deans talking about the plan, and Risa is still pissed. But basically, we find out that 2014 Dean has caught a demon, tortured it to find out where Lucifer is.
Also, this demon was a part of Satan's entourage. And I just like the fact that Lucifer is rolling with a posse.
Yeah, I was going to say rolling with his posse. And Castiel's like, look, you know, this location that we're going to is in the middle of a hot zone. And if something happens to 2009 Dean, then 2014 Dean ceases to exist. And this is where Liz gets annoyed about time travel stuff, probably partially. She's like, this is bullshit. But
stupid.
2014
so
Dean
stupid.
is like, well, we have to bring him. So Zachariah's looking after him anyways. It'll be fine.
And 2009 Dean also points out that they are torturing again. And so
he is not happy about this.
He's not happy about it. But so we're definitely seeing within the 5 years, we have shifted back to this aspect of himself that he hated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's interesting. We're seeing that shift. He's very like judgmental, like seeing himself, future self, having reverted to that. Anyways, and you know, 2019 is like, what are we, you know, what are we really doing here? What is going on for real? So look, 2014 Dean explains to 2019 that Sam didn't die in Detroit. He said yes.
He said yes. Oh wait, this isn't a chair commercial. Oh.
Yep. He said yes to being Lucifer's vessel. What? And so
and
he's like, holy shit.
and he recalls the phrase that Dean said to Sam earlier, and he says that Lucifer is wearing him to the prom. Also earlier, Cass 2014 Cass does, when he was asked if you don't like the word reckless, I could use insouciant. Damn it, now I can't even pronounce it. Insouciant. It was a word I'd never heard. I thought that there's a lot of words in this episode that I thought were great. But that means to be blithe or have unconcern or be nonchalant. That was such a great SAT word.
It's a good word. It's a good one. So 2014 Dean wants 2009 Dean to see what was really the fuck going on, so that 2009 Dean can go back and say yes to Zachariah. That's what he thinks he needs to do. That is what 2014 Dean thinks that needs to happen. So he's like, yeah, I've yelled yes a gazillion times, and the angels are no longer fucking listening. I begged, but no one's listening. So sorry, I'm fucked.
Which is an interesting thing. Basically we learned, the angels have just given up and they left.
Yeah.
They left Earth. That's why Cass is fucked. We'll learn. But so the angels have just yeeted. They have yeeted out. And but it's this really interesting thing of 2014 Dean knows that it doesn't even really matter. He was like, you're still going to do, you're going to do what you're going to do. You're going to be cocky and you're probably going to do this, but maybe if I show you this, we can change it. Maybe we can change it.
So they're getting ready to go, and Chuck shows up and it's really funny because he's staying behind for this mission, but he does show up just to give a hot tip to 2009 Dean that if he makes it back, hoard toilet paper. Like, son of a bitch.
Hoard it like it's made of gold.
You fucking Supernatural fans didn't tell us. You fucking Supernatural fans didn't tell us all.
You knew. Kripke, you knew. And you didn't watch.
Yeah, I didn't watch the show until after the fucking shit went down.
I want to know if Kripke and the people who are in this episode just have warehouses full of toilet paper and during the beginning of the
Liz didn't run out of toilet paper. Liz didn't run out of toilet paper. Maybe you were paying attention.
Maybe.
It's okay. We're bidet people anyways, so we survived. Anyways.
Bidets are so
TMI, I know.
They're great. Everyone should have a bidet. All right, so they carry a caravan out in some really great off-road vehicles.
Yeah. And Castiel's popping amphetamines. Because
they are the perfect antidote to absinthe. That's right. You got your downer, you got your uppers, and now I'm going to drive just fine. We're going to drive all night.
Yeah. Good Lord. Oh. So, Dean 2019 is kind of like, yeah, it's cool that you don't have this stick in your ass anymore, and Castiel finally explains that he is mortal in this time period. When all the angels bailed, and the angels yeeted, as Liz says, his mojo was gone. So,
yep. And then he makes a very good point that if it's the end time, what else do we have but to be decadent? And at one point he was just like, first off, Dean's like, oh, it's cool that you're human, welcome to the club, and Cass is like, the angel club was better. But he's just like, why the hell not bury myself in women and decadence, right? It's the end, baby. That's what decadence is for. Why not bang a few gongs before the lights go out? But then that's just how I roll. I love this Cass a lot. I would, if he was my friend, I'd slap him upside the head, but he'd be really fun to go get some drinks with. Maybe be in an orgy with.
No, I think if he was your friend, I don't think you would like him.
Oh no, he would not be my friend for long, because you know how I feel about flakes. All right, so we're gonna go to the hot zone.
We're in the hot zone, and so now we've got 2009 Dean is calling out 2014 Dean for lying because he says, and it's
Sorry, before you get to that, where they're at is at the Jackson County Sanitarium, and I thought that was a thing. It was like, oh, we're at was this sanitarium in other episodes, but it wasn't. But I still think it's kind of cool that it's at a sanitarium.
Seems apropos in some ways.
Yep. All right.
And the interesting comment here that why I made a note was, well, I mean, obviously it's important plot piece too, but the main reason that was interesting, the main line was that he's seen that lying. I've seen our lying expressions in the mirror before, like lying to himself or the mirror, like kind of a thing. I was like,
So
ooh,
deep.
ouch,
So deep.
yeah. Anyways, so they figure out like, yeah, no, there's no like 2014. He's like, yeah, there's no fucking croats here. It's obviously a trap. So I'm going to send my people in as freaking decoys, and we're going to go in the back and really find Lucifer. So he's sacrificing his people. That's what he's doing right here. And 2009,
Including
he's like,
cats.
you wouldn't, including cats. In 2009, he's like, you wouldn't do that. What the fuck? I can't let you do that. And so 2014, he knocks him out.
Yep, he does. Which is like, if you hit yourself, do you feel it?
No, you wouldn't, because their times are too separated. Anyways.
I know. Anyway,
so
time travel.
Then we have 2019 wake up to hearing gunfire inside the building.
Yeah, and we can see a firefight. Like, there's just like muzzle shots going everywhere.
You can see the glow from behind the windows. And he walks up and sees 2014 Dean on the ground with a white shoe with white pants on his head. And it squishes his head.
Squishes. Squishes. Well, he breaks his neck.
Neck break, but still. It was less squishy and more breaky. It's fucking Sam in all white.
It is.
But it's not Sam.
It's not Sam.
It's Lucifer
Sam.
It's
Samifer. Which is what?
Lucifer Sam?
No, Samifer is the sanctioned, the official SPN family name for Sam in Lucifer's body is Samifer. And that's fine.
Got it.
I will roll with it. Also, I do not understand why, with the white suit, Samifer has that god awful yellow button up underneath it. What the fuck is that shirt?
It was yellow.
It's yellow. At least on my screen, it was yellow. It was like that weird, like, almost like the yellow of the polo shirt he had in the tech company.
Oh,
like,
that's very yellow. But it didn't look like yellow.
Well, it wasn't that yellow. It was like that off-white
yellow.
Ugh, buttermilk. Ew, buttermilk. Gross. It shouldn't be a color of fabric.
But you know what I mean, right? Where it's like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, gross.
Pastel yellow. Just put a white shirt underneath that. If you're gonna go a white or put a black shirt, put a red shirt. Do something. Just not that yellow shirt. Yep.
Own it. So, anyways, so it says, "Oh, hello, Dean. You come a long way to see this." Oh. So basically, 2019 tells Samifer to kill him, and Samifer said that would be redundant since he just killed 2014. Anyways, but Samifer acknowledges that it must be painful to talk to Lucifer as Sam, but not to be afraid. Anyways.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Basically, we get like...
Just Lucifer.
Yeah, we just got, I'm just Lucifer. It's okay. I was the last perfect work of God. I just really got sent down from heaven because I just loved God too much. And I just, but God created all these hairless apes and really just wanted me to like love them. And I just couldn't really do that. So, because humans are flawed and murderers. And so I got cast out to hell. And really, humans are way worse than me.
Yeah, so not only did you have to watch yourself die, now you had to listen to me blather on about my origin story.
Oh, yeah. And
you must be
sympathy
Satan.
story.
You
a
must
sympathy
be
origin story. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. 2019, who's like the only living Dean in the scene now, is not amused and calls him an ugly, evil, supernatural piece of crap.
No, ugly, evil, belly to the ground, supernatural piece of crap. But I think this is like a really good point. He was just like, you know what? Like, yeah, maybe you are Satan, but you're also just another monster, and I fucking kill monsters. Mm-hmm. Is what I do. Yeah. And I kind of love this like spine like popping up, just like, hey, you know what? Fuck you. No, I'm not going to be your little bitch anymore. I'm done with this crap.
Mm-hmm. So Dean tries to goad him a little bit, but Samifer's like, yeah, I know you're not going to say yes to Michael and you're not going to kill Sam. So we'll always end up just right here. Bye. See you in 5 years.
Bye.
And Dean's like, you're wrong. But he's crying.
Yeah, but really is also, there is this like very dramatic, just like, you better kill me now because I'm not going to stop. I'm coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm coming for you, Samifer or Lucifer, whatever, bitch. Like, I'm on you.
Yeah.
And just, no, see you in 5 years, Dean.
And then we get a Zachariah appearance and a quick boop. Boop. Back to 2009 in the motel, Zachariah and Dean.
Zach.
So we've got Zachariah is like, you're the only one who can, can prove the devil wrong now. You've got to say yes before Lucifer gets to Sam and before all these people fucking die. Billions of people die. And Dean acts like he's thinking about it for a second. And then he says, nah, which I kind of find surprising. I'm not going to lie, as a viewer of this episode, I mean, knowing the character still, I did kind of wonder if it made such an impact and he wants so badly to protect Sam that he would have said, okay, fine, just to prevent Sam from being Samifer, just as a viewer. Anyways, so I was pretty shocked, even though he's been such a hard on before.
Yeah,
And
but also he had that revelation that he's a monster, right?
Right, that's true, that he's a monster and that Lucifer's a monster and Dean's a monster killer. So, Zachariah gets fucking pissed. He's like, I'm gonna send you back. He calls Dean boy. I'm like, I don't think that sits well. And
pro tip, calling anybody boy, it's never a good move. It's just not.
It's not convincing.
It's not convincing, but also we just see this kind of desperate man trying to hold on to well, I'm gonna teach you again. You didn't learn, all right. And I'm just having flashbacks to patriarchy fathers, oh, I'll give you something to cry about, all sorts of ugh. But thankfully, he's got a savior.
Yeah, because Dean just disappears, and it's because Cass booped him out of the apartment because they had an appointment.
They did.
And then I look at Dean's comment is, he goes, don't ever change.
As he looks at him lovingly with his hand on his shoulder.
Yeah, because he likes his friend.
Because he's in love. And then Dean opens his flip phone, and oh god, it's so satisfying watching a flip phone open. And Cass is just like, "What are you doing?
Do you miss hanging up a regular phone?"
Oh,
I miss
a good slam. I miss a phone slam.
What about a ringtone? Ooh. Or not a ringtone, a dial tone. Kind of miss a dial tone. That's what I've got. There you go. All right, so now we see Dean and Baby on a gravel road near a bridge, and a Lincoln Continental pulls up 70s model. I didn't look up the year. Sorry, my bad. Pulls up, and it's Sam. So Dean called him. Yay! Yay!
That's what he learned.
That's what he learned. He pulled out the demon blade, and he tells Sam, he's like, look, if you're serious, you want back in, you need to hold on to us because you're out of fucking practice, brah. I did.
But I think this is also men who don't have feelings. This is how, or people who don't have feelings in general, this is how we express ourselves. Here is a gift. Here's a stabby.
Well, but he also said, but no, Dean straight up said that he was sorry and he was wrong.
He does, but this is just how you open this. You can't just come out and be like, I'm sorry. You have to be like,
here's a thing.
Here's a thing. And now I can talk to you. I was wrong, which is a huge thing for any.
That's big.
Any
apologize.
Person to
say, someone apologize and say you were wrong is big, especially when it was a big thing. It's not like, sorry, my bad. I told you the wrong name of the movie. It's no, I've cut you out of my life temporarily. That's a big deal. I'm sorry, I was wrong. And Sam wants to know what made him change his mind. He's like, yeah, it was a long story. Fair. So,
but it's a long
Dean admits
story.
That he still thinks,
go ahead.
But yeah, he's like, yeah, we maybe be both of each other's Achilles, but we're also what keep each other human. And that's our big takeaway from this episode, I think.
Yep, we're all we got. There's no justice.
And we keep each other human because they both act as their own conscience in different situations.
Yep. And then Sam says, thank you, and I won't let you down, which is, Sam, no.
Don't make promises you
Okay,
can't keep.
okay.
Kidding. And he says, what do we do now? And Dean says, we make our own future. Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, but then Sam says, I guess we have no choice. So something they pointed out in the commentary is, as much as like now, we are working back, the boys are back together, that this is also just setting up more conflict, because we have Dean saying, I am team free will, and Sam saying we have no choice. So that is team destiny.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. So thanks for doing that. So we don't know, but we know the boys are back together. Boys
they are back together.
In town. Yeah.
Boys back town.
And I think are there casting call notes?
I do have two quick ones.
Okay.
I do have some casting couch.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
So, first, Risa is played by Lexa Doig, D-O-I-G. I don't know how to say it. She's Paige in Virgin River, which once again is really popular in the show Netflix right now. She was Bree in the Chucky series, Talia in Arrow, and she was Dr. Leah Pearlman in the new version of V, which it's not that new. But
did you watch the new version? The new version?
I watched the new one. Yeah, I loved V. Anyways,
I know. I mean, I never
didn't
watched the new one because the old one. Well, I liked it I saw that as like a child, like when it came out, and the tongue. There was like that one baby that came out and it had the lizard tongue. That has been like a nightmare trope for me for the past 45 years.
Interesting. I didn't watch the original. I did watch the new, and it was one of those things where it didn't get renewed and it was a cliffhanger, and so I'm like angry at the universe for like a year after that. And then the little girl that almost stabbed Dean with a piece of mirror was played by Devin Dalton. She does a ton of voice work, which is ironic because she had no lines in this. But she also played Cornelius in Rise of the Planet of the Apes and War for Planet of the Apes.
Hey, she's got to be a grown-ass woman by now, right? That was 2009. Correct. When she was in this, yes. And she was probably,
There you go.
There you go.
That's what we got for casting notes. All right. That's what I got.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. So, why did you like this episode?
I just thought it was a really interesting take on it. I enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed I thought it was interesting seeing Sam as Samifer or Lucifer or whatever. It was just kind of a chilling. Well, I like dystopian fiction, as you know. So like, oh shit. I mean, when I'm not living it, I like dystopian fiction. So it was cool to see that to me. And then obviously, like, I was grateful that they didn't drag out like the brothers being separated longer, because I do think that the dynamic of them together makes the show better. In addition, makes them stronger, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's a television show. The dynamic's better when they're together. That's just what there is, the interaction of them, in my opinion. So that's my reasoning.
Okay.
What? You just hate time travel episodes.
I fucking hate time travel. It's so confusing. Like,
it is. I couldn't overthink it.
Yeah, I mean, and so one of like my saving graces is that idea of whether or not this was a future or a construction of Zach's, right? So,
right. Well, yeah, which is a fair argument too. I think there's a good hypothesis
according to the creators, it was a construction of Zach's, right? So, okay. But it's also a possible. It is a possible future. It is a potential future, but
right.
I just can't. Time travel is stupid, and it hurts my brain. It's worse than math. And I don't like it. However, I do think that Jensen Ackles was phenomenal in what he did. Yeah. I thought Steve Boyum did a fantastic job of directing a person on themselves, and then like even throwing in some like fun things, like, you know, where they have like, you see I forgot to bring it up, but like when they're talking, when they first are talking to each other and they have like the drink that he gives them, you know, like, so there are those old like type of things that you would see in split screen acting stuff. So I mean, I do like the, you know, the rallying cry of Dean, you know, just like we're in this for humans and we're taking down the monsters, like fuck them.
Right.
Like I enjoy a good rally to a cause, but at the same time I'm also like,
Just fuck your time travel.
fuck your time travel. You could have done this another way. But other than that, I mean, yeah, we got, I love Cult Cast. Cult Cast is great. And also toilet paper Chuck. So that's all I have, though, really. Otherwise, like, the episode's fine. It's watchable, but fuck you, time travel. So, anyways, anything else to add?
That's all I got.
All right, then. Cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.